of this will move on to go to the finals. And the loser are going to have to drop down to face the winner of Toxic Youth and Turbo Resident Sleeper there. So, I mean, both of those teams look very, very strong here going further on into that lower bracket. I don't think either one of those RMDs are at all interested in dropping down to face potential elimination against one of those very strong teams. There's 4 teams left, but only 2 will make it to the finals. And I can't wait to see which 2 those are going to be. We're going to make it all the way to the finals series today, guys. So thank you guys so much for coming and tuning in. We're going to get these guys ready, but it looks like they're going to take a little bit of time in those latter games. So shout out where shout outs are due. Marcus Noor, thank you so much for that 2-month resub. And Feral Kitty Cat for the 13-month sub. Thank you so much, Emmy. Really love that support. Really appreciate it. Let's get some GCD hypes in the chat for those resubs as well as the brand new subs today. We made it all the way to 223 subs today. That's actually unbelievable. So thank you guys once again for that support, and thank you so much for the patience as we move once again to another studio. But so far so good. Maybe I shouldn't talk about it because last time I talked about it I jinxed myself.
Knock on wood.
I'm not even gonna knock on the wood. I'm gonna pretend I didn't say anything. There you go.
Literally, it was straight after you said that last time that you... Oh no, you already DC'd like once or something, and then you said it, and then it just kept happening. Like when you thought it was fixed. So we have to be a little careful with what we say, but yeah, it's looking good today, and we haven't had too many delays. I mean, the teams... We have had a couple of teams that have had to adapt things, but we've still seen some pretty good games, and that last series was super close. I'm really excited to see if how far Turbo Resident Sleeper especially can make it in this tournament, because after the kind of PogChamp moments we had at the very end of yesterday where Tebow barely comes back in time just to save the day essentially against Kenitra Tigers, if they can make it through even to the finals, it's going to be such a story. It's going to be the story of the tournament pretty much. And again today it's like Tebow wasn't... I don't think Tebow was there or he wasn't available, or he had some tech issue or something. For the first game. I mean, the WMP worked out very nicely for them, and I think they're going to be happy they've tried it, because it could be something that's very useful for them in the future. The fact that they have that available, it does answer some of these cleavy comps, it seems like, but he was back again just in time, and they narrowly take that series as well, so these guys can't take a series without dropping 2 games, seems like.
Yeah, I think that's like, an attribute of a good tournament player, or a good tournament team, I should say, is that when going into a tournament, prepare to face any team, not just specific teams. And I think they are prepared to do just that. But it looks like the game is ready, and the first map of this best of 5 series will be played out on the Grand Arena. I will see you all in a hot minute. Dude, these queues, man, they make me a liar every single time. All right, so we queued up, but unfortunately one of the teams wasn't able to stay in the arena. So we're going to be queuing right back up to jump right back into the Grand Arena. Sorry about that. I think I should stop playing the intros today. I just think that, Karma is just like... I think Dmachine's going to play an intro here? Yeah, Q-Bug. What's up?
Not happening. Just the players messing with you.
Skamaz! Dude, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. I swear. Liar. Oh, you caught me. I want to watch the world burn. Most importantly, my channel burn. That's what I want to see. No. Wait, I need a knock on wood for that, for real. All right, we're good.
Yeah, okay. Now that that's settled, now everything's fine. You've been protected from the dark arts.
It's protected from the dark arts. I am good to go. You can go ahead and queue it up. ABC easy as 1, 2, 3. Oh, that's a really good point. That is a really good point. Clutter carrying me right here. Yep, it's 0-0 still for me. All right. So that being said, oh sorry, go ahead, man.
My Discord crashed. I didn't actually get to see what happened. Did the teams just leave? I guess.
Yeah, they just left.
I was hoping I didn't just miss some one shot. I was going to be really sad because I was just desperately trying to fix the Discord.
You missed the game of your life.
The game of a lifetime, and it only lasted 4 seconds. But we do have a mirror matchup, and Foxio, he's going to prove me wrong, and he's going to play sub.
Oh. I'm a little surprised about this. I mean, we did talk about it, but they must feel like they have an advantage as sub to play this, because I think Foxio does mostly run the combat spec. Sub is obviously an option that he does have available to him, and maybe the fact that he does have that is, well, we'll have to see if it gives them an advantage. I'm not necessarily sure it does, so I'm slightly surprised that they're running this, especially against Waz. Waz is so known for loving to just kind of kill other rogues.
They have
So
I
they
think
should leave again.
What's
I
happening?
guess that hangs.
I mean,
This is not fair. It's like we finally have this great RMD mirror. Every single time RMDs have clashed in these tournaments, it's come to a game 5, and it's been like the most epic series with back and
Really?
forth who's going to win it. Literally, yeah, we've had
every
so
single
we had-
RMD.
Kenitra Tigers, which is No Life, Chaz, and Akai Suichi, versus Reawakened have had 2 best of 5s against each other, and
All squad,
both
Commander.
teams have won one of them 3-2 in an incredibly close series. And then I think we saw the Russian team, right? What was their name? Silvers go against ABC Easy's 1-2-3 in the qualifier, which was also an RMD mirror, which also went to 3-2 in favor of ABC. So these RMDs are always so close. I mean, maybe it's just the kind of style in EU, like they both love to go on court and just batter and bruise each other, and they don't really care too much for their defensive, so you see teams dying quite quickly in these mirrors, but they always seem to match so evenly, and that's a surprise, you would have thought.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, considering the level of play that we've seen in terms of the R&D mirrors in the last couple tournaments, I am anticipating another very close series. I mean, both of these teams have proven themselves to be extremely talented, so seeing these guys match up here in the semifinals is going to be a treat. I'm absolutely stoked. I mean, some of the series that we saw against Reawakened and Kenitra Tigers, to me, has kind of like created a little rivalry in my head. I mean, these guys would have the exact same opener for like 40 globals. It was the craziest thing. And it wasn't like, you know, just like sap, cheap shot. It was like sap into blind at the exact same time on the healer to start things off with like death from above, break to follow it up from both of the rogues every single time. So, you know, I haven't really seen stuff like that before, but ABC Easy as 1-2-3, you know, this is the first time that they've made it to the main tournament. They were through the qualifiers quite a lot, but now they're going up against, you know, one of the most anticipated teams in the tournament, Reawakened here, but they made it all the way to the semifinals. This could very well be the end of the road for them, or it could be, you know, just the beginning of their pro league quote-unquote careers.
Yeah, and they've already done well to make it into the top 3, having just qualified this week. So I think we can expect big things from this team in the future. They are an experienced tournament team who always play together, and that's an important thing as well. I think it's really good if you can kind of get a team that sticks together for a long period of time, so you can build up that synergy, especially in a composition like this. It's very useful. But I think of that series you were mentioning, my favorite was the game where No Life and Raikou, they literally did the same amount of damage to each other exactly for the entire game, such that they were both 20% HP, and it's like neither of them want to use block. Like they're using the exact same globals, essentially, and then both of them just drop 20%, 10%. It's like, are either of you guys gonna block? And then
just a battle of chicken at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Until the Ice
one of
Nova
them will
crit
always
comes
go
in, and
down. Yep.
Yeah.
Essentially what happened.
It's. I would love to see if something similar would happen in this series, but I think Easy Duke and Co prefer like a perfect CC opener. I think we're gonna see a mass stealth and trying to like out stealth the other team kind of mind game from these guys. I doubt they'll go for the crossbolt opener that we see from No Life and Reku, but I could be proved wrong. It looks like I am instantly going to be proved wrong, yes. So Daisy Duke instead charging into the middle. These guys basically in melee range of each other. Minpoike even pushing in to get a couple of thrashes, winning the DPS war for sure right now. But they're opening up over to attack Turkin maybe. The smoke bomb comes out the kidney. I'm not entirely sure about that opener. from Waz. I'm a little confused about that. It looks like he just got peeled, actually. The Ironbark from Minpoike to answer their counter go. So nice from Foxer, using that dance instantly to stop the go onto Tag Tucker, but they swap it over onto Daisy Duke, forcing the Ice Block instantly with a nice sheep onto Tag Tucker. I'm not entirely sure how they landed that, but they also got the Cloak of Shadows and the Vanish Sap onto Minpoike to follow up. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it was following up the blind. I didn't see that. Raikou taking a bit of damage, but the Trinket from Minpoike is going to keep him alive for now.
Yeah, it is going to be sort of lined up with that blind. He did sit the blind, get caught into a sap, but he did trinket the sap. We wanted to make sure that the team could stay offensive and Raikou didn't have to use that ice block. The off-kidney shot onto Waz. Raikou's still the target of choice, but Waz is getting spam sheep right now by Daisy Duke. Tag Turkin actually caught into that full blind. He does have trinket available if he needs it. Bash on the Foxio, so beautiful cross CC. Daisy Duke really not taking too much damage at the moment. Here comes the Garrote kidney shot, though, getting Ironbark from Tag Turkin before the Deep Freeze ring comes off, and that Ironbark may be able to make sure he can not use that initial ice block. Raikou realizing that the kill has been lost, he's just going to spam sheep Daisy Duke at the moment. They're happy with just getting Tag Turkin's trinket. This setup, now Foxio is trying to go aggressive using that Shadow Dance onto Raikou. Was actually getting the Ironbark from that from Minpoike on the off kidney. A little bit, perhaps maybe a little misplay. I don't know if they thought he would be the target of choice. Daisy Duke taking a lot of damage though, down to 15% or 50% HP as well. Minpoike caught into the full ring. Raikou taking a little damage, get interrupted onto that polymorph. But both mages doing a good job just sort of tanking this damage at the moment. Raikou getting grotted up, just deciding to ice block right away using that cold snap. And now the ice blocks are even for both teams.
Yeah, it seems like it's quite an even game. Raikou, I mean, Waz, like we said, has had to commit both those vanishes offensively, though, and they actually cycling him up there. I would like to see them maybe go for a bit more damage. There's no Ironbark available, but it looks like Raikou is their target of choice, and a nice bash onto Foxio is going to deny that CC, but unfortunately, Tag Turkin is in the orb on the Deep Freeze, so no sheep available to follow that up. They are going to get the Ironbark onto the kidney on Foxio. That means so really unfortunate for Reawakened. A nice cyclone onto Raikou right now is slowing them down a little bit. The combat readiness coming out from Waz. He's actually popping his adrenaline rush as well, so he's trying to get a lot of damage going onto Daisy Duke, and that's exactly what's going to happen here. There's no CC for Tag Turkin, but he doesn't have the NS. They actually sheep him up. This is a little bit confusing from Reawakened. We do see they're now turning onto Raikou. The DFA comes out on the blink. The Shadow Dance as well. He's in so much trouble. Can they follow up the sheeps of a clone? They do. That might be the block coming out from Raikou, but instead Minpoike choosing to trinket, but Waz also trinketed. This is so bad for ABC perhaps, but they are trying to kill Tag Turkin right now. They might be able to get the kill. He has NS if he gets out of the Growth Silence. He barely gets it off, surviving at 35%, barely able to blink out of there. I can't believe he was able to survive that, but now we do see both teams are so low on trinkets. They could easily set up the kill onto Waz. There's no trinket available for Minpoike, and they do have the blind up. If they can just set it up cleanly, I think they could easily win the game here.
Yeah, if they can stall till that Shadow Dance is up, they get the blind and the Shadow Dance onto Waz and Minpoike, it is going to be the game. Raikou actually deciding to block offensively there. He wants to keep the pressure going onto Foxio. Gets caught into that kidney shot, into a bash. Ironbark, though, coming out from Tag Turkin at the moment. Daisy Duke using that Icy Veins. They want to go aggressive. The gouge onto Waz at the moment, caught into that full clone. Raikou actually going to be targeted down. He does have no ice blocks, perhaps trying to punish him a little bit. Minpoike actually just sitting in stealth at the moment. He knows they probably want to blind him, throwing out that Ironbark onto Waz, who is caught into that full kidney shot. This could be the game. He might just die through the Ironbark, but Minpoike reading that situation perfectly, sitting in that stealth and making sure he can get that Ironbark onto Waz for that swap, but I don't know if it's going to be enough. Waz still running for his life, throwing out the gouges, doing everything he can to survive. NS coming out from Minpoike, and Waz is going to survive that. So beautifully done by Minpoike, reading that situation perfectly, but Raiku's still in a situation where he has no blocks, and Daisy Duke has both of them.
Yeah, that was such a big play from Minpoike. If he didn't get that Ironbark, Waz would have surely gone down there, barely able to survive as it was. But now they've survived that. Their trinkets are coming up in 20 seconds. They just need to survive one more setup and they can easily win. And they're definitely delaying the setup. A nice sap coming out of the stun onto Foxio. So it's going to take them a long time. Looks like they will want to set up onto Foxio. They don't actually have any trinkets here. The Ironbark coming out might not be enough. He's down to 30%. He's just going to go down here, easily dying through that Ironbark. And it wasn't even close to enough. Able to get a kill onto Foxio. The saps, I didn't actually see what they landed off of, maybe off of Cyclones or something, or maybe they just caught him in stealth, but either way, he didn't have the feign up. The Ironbark wasn't even close to enough.
Yeah, he Ironbarked him at 100% HP on the kitty shot, and he still just got overkilled by so much, just exploding. That is the power of the combat rogue, like you were saying. A lot of the time, you have to overuse cooldowns, and even if you use cooldowns, you still lose. So, pretty remarkable. I mean, we saw the exact same situation where Foxio and Daisy Duke tried to go on to Waz as that subtlety rogue mage. He got the Ironbark from Minpoike and he managed to survive. So just not quite the same amount of burst potential coming out from the sub rogue as the combat rogue, I guess, on those rogue swaps.
And it was such an evenly matched game. Like we said, the Stone Rogue did have the small advantage of being able to get cooldowns slightly easier on the mage perhaps. And I actually, after Raiku's offensive block, I would have loved to see them set up with that blind onto Raikou, to be honest. I mean, they still had the blind available from Mimpoke. They had they did land the deep sheep, and once he pre-iron-barked Waz, I think they could have just turned it onto Raikou and maybe ended the game that way, because he didn't have his trinket up, he didn't have either of his blocks available, there's no trinket on Mimpoke either. They could have just CC'd up Waz, but instead opting for that and the crucial play able to keep them in the game. But already we're seeing like how close this series could potentially be, with ABC so close to taking that one.
Yeah, and a few opportunities too. Like, you know, that one part where Raikou pushed in to try to get a CC on the Druid, but actually got deep freezed up into a full Cyclone and offensively blocked to stay in it, which didn't really get him all that much momentum. But like, it's plays like that where if ABC really you know, turns it around on him, it could be a big deal. And we've seen them, you know, adapt to those situations already before, so they're definitely capable of it. But I'm anticipating a mirror to continue here in this matchup. And the next map that's going to be chosen by ABC is going to be Tolvaron Arena. And what does this say about the matchup for them? I mean, we're going to see a mirror composition, so that means that they're choosing this map purely based on, you know, preference in their play style.
Yeah. Well, yeah, like you said, it's a mirror, so neither team is going to have a big advantage. I mean, basically, it's just comfort at that point. Whatever map you think you're the most comfortable on, maybe they want a map similar to sort of like an Ag Grand Arena, where it's nice and wide open. There's some pillars that they can use, but nothing too crazy. It's going to be a pretty standard game.
I think the game gets more complicated if it's on a smaller map. For example, if you play the RMD mirror on Ruins, you have to think about it a lot more. Maybe both druids are on top of each other. There's like a lot more variables. The game's just harder to play. And we do see a lot of teams taking Reawakened to Tolvir when they do lose. So maybe it's kind of a respect map pick from ABC. They kind of respect the fact that they don't want the game to get... They don't want Mimpoke and Ascraft to be on top of each other. They just want to be able to sit in the middle a little bit, play this kind of standard, I'm getting some damage, I'm going to triple CC, blink in, push for my CC onto the rest of Druid. Like, it's a slightly more calculated, easy to theory craft kind of game, rather than something which can, like, maybe one of the Druids DR bashes into a Cyclone and they get a kill randomly off of something like that. It's just, I feel like the bigger map slows it down just a little bit.
Here we go.
Yeah, absolutely.
Foxy,
if you look at what sort of...
Sorry to cut you off there.
Just looking at like minor differences in like glyphs, we see Daisy Duke using the regen ice block glyph, and Raikou using the glyph of ice block, which provides the immunity for 3 seconds. So just a slight difference there. Tag Turkin actually opting to go, or last game he didn't go for the double dispel and was playing that shape manner instead. This game switching it back up, playing sort of the standard double dispel. Maybe realizing he didn't have enough last game.
Yeah, I think Double Dispel is a nice pick for sure. And they get the sap onto Tag Tech, and instantly a good opener from Reawakened. They're able to get a lot of damage onto Daisy Duke, but the blind to answer that, and it actually looks like they're doing better out of the exchange. The deep freeze off that, can they follow it up? They do force the ice block, but their blind was used there, and Mimpoke didn't have to trinket that. The trinket from Tag Token onto the blind in exchange. So the cooldowns is an ice block from Raikou, but a trinket from Tag Token. They're trying to commit to him completely here. They actually used the smoke bomb, but the Iron Bark able to come out from Mimpoke, and the fact that they've used that smoke bomb there really tells me they are going to commit completely to Raikou this game. They already forced one block on him, but Mimpoke still has his trinket available. We do see the smoke bomb onto Foxshare. Of course, Reawakened do prefer to go for that rogue, and they get the bash on the trinket. They could potentially win the game here. A nice clone, keeping him on low HP, no CC onto Tag Token, so the pressure will end. But the NS was forced out there, and they did get the trinket from Foxshare. Now all the trinkets are down for ABC. This could be a really bad situation for ABC as it is 1-2-3.
Yeah, Raikou taking a lot of damage right now, only has that one rejuve. Mimpoke using that Heart of the Wild, realizing he's going to have to play a little bit of catch-up here. The full Deep Freeze goes out onto Mimpoke. Daisy Duke actually getting the Ring of Frost off, beautifully done by him, using that Icy Veins, I believe, to actually get out that CC. Mimpoke now caught into a full clone out of that Ring of Frost, deciding to trinket that, doesn't want to fall behind too bad. Raikou actually deciding to block offensive there. So the block coming out from Raikou, anyways, has no ice blocks available, but they realize the kill onto Foxio is imminent. So well done by Raikou, realizing the situation, knowing that they're going to get a kill on the rogue. Doesn't matter if he throws out that ice block. Him getting that CC guarantees a win.
Yeah, so calculated from Roku there. It's like they see no trinkets available. They can perfectly clean the DR gouge coming out from Waz just to make sure there's absolutely no way Foxjo gets a pre-vanish or anything on the setup. It's just that was a completely clean kill from Reawakened. I really like to see that, and that's where that Ice Block glyph comes in. Of course, it means
Yeah.
there's absolutely nothing Daisy Duke can do about that situation. Like they were 100% dead there.
Oh my goodness. I'm taking a quick look at that replay of the setup onto Foxio. No trinket, no outs available on the Restoration Druid on his team as well. And Reawakened are going to take a 2-0 lead here in the semifinals, and all of a sudden are just one win away from taking a 3-0 victory. Can ABC 123 bring it back against Reawakened, or will there be like a 3-0 into the finals? That would give Reawakened a lot of confidence and momentum going into the finals. So they got to be pumped up right now and ready to go, feeling good. You know, when you see a mirror matchup like this and you're this dominant, it feels good, man. It feels good. Thank you so much for that 2-month resub, William JC. Appreciate that, dude. I really do appreciate that, William. But yeah, we are at 223 subs out of our 300 Ghost Pepper sub goal. Though that sub goal is going to be changed, as I already eaten a Ghost Pepper and I am reluctant to eat another one. Come on, like
You're gonna change it after all this time?
how about this?
Yeah,
I will leave it up.
It is eat two instead of eating one.
True. I'll leave it up if you guys want me to leave it up. Let me know in chat, but most importantly, let me know on Twitter, because that is what I'll be able to read most is Twitter after. So it's very difficult to catch everything that you guys are saying during these games and stuff like that. So tweet at us at GCDTV_. Link is actually below if you want to check out our social medias, Facebook as well. Facebook me, tweet me, do whatever social media you prefer, but send me your sub goal preference. And if your preference is to keep that Ghost Pepper, I will do just that. But here we go, guys. The game are ready, and the game is ready, I should say. And we are going to be going to Tiger's Peak here. And here we go. It is Tiger's Peak Arena. Reawakened currently up 2-0. ABC Easy as 1-2-3 have some work to do.
Yeah, that last game just looked so convincing for Reawakened. Actually, they got the trinket from Tag Token with the blind, and this is kind of why I like the way that Raikou just blocked in exchange for the blind rather than Minpoike trinketing, because it meant Minpoike says that trinket available to save Waz at some point should he need it, and that can be really important because Tycoon uses his trinket on the blind, then Foxjo uses his trinket on the bomb. If they have to use the trinket on the blind, they do still have to use the trinket on the bomb most likely, so that just means they're in a situation where neither of those players have trinkets, and at that point, Daisy Duke doesn't even matter. I mean, Waz can use his cloak, Raikou can use his ice block lift to immune CC, so there's nothing Daisy Duke can really do to save his rogue if it does come down to that again. So maybe using that block, I don't think Reawakened are going to put too much focus onto killing Daisy Duke. So if we see the same opener, I'd like to see that difference in cooldown usage, but we'll have to see what ABC Easy as 1-2-3 can come up with, because the meta in this series so far hasn't really been to kill the mage.
Uh-oh.
Oh no.
There might be some technical issues running in place. Minpoike here.
But I mean, it looks like these teams are sort of, they're waiting, yeah.
They're waiting. We're going to have to see what happens there. We'll keep you guys posted on what is going down.
Bear is no longer running in place. Yeah, maybe even Minpoike is reconnecting right now.
Yeah. Normally when that happens, I guess it means he's reconnecting, so hopefully he can just get back in and everything will be fine. But I don't know. What do I say?
Well, it's a very unfortunate.
Did you guys realize Fox went combat? Did I space out?
Oh, totally did.
It is combat versus combat. Everyone spaced out, all right. It's okay.
Everyone
I guess Foxio realizing that.
We would have noticed this killing spree happened, I'm sure.
So if Foxio comes back here and takes a 3-0 victory, does that mean that combat is indeed better?
I think it would point towards that, yeah. Unless they only win because of disconnects. Yeah, it looks like Minpoike is jumping around. His bear is actually moving now, but they leave the game anyways. Or maybe the frames are just bugged. Did Waz leave? Waz left the game. So.
What does that mean?
Why they left, because it looked like Minpoike
was back, yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, I'm a little confused as to what's going on. I'd love to hear.
So who won that game?
the
I mean,
moment,
do we
guys.
count that as a win? I guess.
We're gonna have to wait.
We'll have to see what happened there because it did look like Minpoke was the one who DC'd, but either way, so now that they're going for the combat, do you think this is more of a confident thing or a desperation thing? Because they're 2-0 down, and then if you're actually going to go into a complete mirror, like the suspects equal, is this me saying I can beat you with this when we're completely matched up evenly, or is it me saying sub isn't working? I just have to go for this mirror.
Yeah, you never know. I mean, I think in this exact situation, it's probably, oh man, sub isn't working. I guess combat's just better. You know, sometimes that's the not necessarily the excuse, but the reasoning you give yourself for losing. It's like, oh, that guy's playing that spec. Maybe that's the reason, like, you know, why it's not working out so well for us. We need that same thing. Like they have that advantage, and we need it too.
Yeah, and I mean that's one nice thing I like about this team. I mean, sure they did lose the 2 games to sub, but they have the ability to run both, and the fact that they were able to try this up, and they did come really close in the first game, to be honest, they could have easily taken it, does suggest that, or if they had taken that first game, maybe they would have stuck to it and won the series like that. The fact that they run the sub when they do run both specializations, I think he even feels more comfortable in the combat spec. Maybe I've seen him playing it more at least. Suggests they must feel sub has an advantage, so he's swapping it over to the combat. I'm not sure if it bodes well for him.
We're just gonna have to wait and see and find out what happens next. But here we go. Dalaran Sewers is gonna queue up here, and we're gonna jump into the next game. And we're gonna have to go and see. So Foxio, is he still playing combat? He's still sticking with the combat. And so ABC Easy as 1-2-3. They now just got a free win, so they have to win 2 games in a row though. They have to beat Reawakened 2 games in a row to be able to take down Reawakened here in the semifinals.
Combat ended up working out for them on that map, so that's nice.
Confirmed.
Daisy Duke's still playing the regen Ice Blood buff. I don't really understand the reasoning. It seems like you just get so much utility, and then having that option to use your block as like a free CC is just so nice. So I don't know if he has it in by accident or what the reasoning is, but I think Raiku's glyph selection in this particular matchup is a little bit better.
Yeah, I think the block glyph's nice, and I also think the double dispel, but it looks like Tyken's sticking with the other thing unless he changes it last second. I think maybe that's just him forgetting.
Maybe they're just forgetting. Yeah, forgetting to swap the glyph, and that could end up costing them the game, not having that double dispel. It's super important against mage teams.
Really important in this matchup, I feel like, especially since the rogue's going to be demanding dispels on Fairy Fire a lot as combat, so there's no dance available. He has to have that dispel available all the time, and that could hurt. But we do see both mages just kind of in the middle of the map. We see the kidney onto Tag Turk, and instantly Daisy Duke taking the brunt of the damage, but a nice pre-iron back on the bomb on Waz once more from Minpoke. He's always able to get that off somehow, and it's really putting them ahead in these games. Again, they don't get the trinket from Waz with the smoke bomb. That's so unfortunate, but it looks like they're just kind of peeling APC for now. The sheep's coming out from Raikou. They're going to actually swap it over onto Raikou now, but unfortunately the clone overlapped with the Groid. A little miscommunication on the side of ABC, I feel like. We do now see the blind. They're actually swapping over onto Waz, but he's able to pre-combat readiness the stun. Waz and Minpoke have just been denying everything ABC has been going for. They're so on top of the bull right now. Raikou taking a bit of damage, but I think they already committed to Waz, so they're going to be in a lot of trouble here.
Yeah, Raikou actually pushing and getting the deep sheep on the Tag Turk, and Foxio in a lot of trouble now, down to 25% HP, using that trinket evasion, spamming out that feint as well, trying to reduce some of the incoming damage from Raikou. Tag Turkin using that NS, not having to use his trinket, sort of keeping Foxio up. And Tag Turkin still does have Iron Bark as well as his trinket available, as well as Heart of the Wild. And Porke already using his trinket, already using his Heart of the Wild. But on the other end of the thing, on the other end of things, pardon me, Wazzy Snipes still has his trinket available. So if they swap on him, he is going to have that in order to survive. So kind of opposite cooldowns for both teams at the moment. Both mages having their ice block. And it looks like hitting the rogues is what both teams are focusing on.
Reawakened, it looks like they're getting the advantage in these setups because they're getting those pre-cooldowns off, but actually, like you say, the cooldowns are pretty even because Minpoke's had to commit so many of his, and the nice pre-iron back onto Daisy Duke on that setup from Tag Turk, and it's going to deny any of the damage Reawakened wanted to commit, but at the same time, maybe they're just trying to bait it out so that they can go onto Foxio in a future point. We do see the setup perhaps onto Raikou here as the Cyclone was put onto Waz. Raikou in a bit of trouble here, dropping down to 30%. He's taking so much damage, he has to block here. The blind coming out from Waz is triggering it from Tag Turkin though, so they do get that cooldown out. We do see the DR Kidney. I'm not too sure what the play was there. They even used the Ice Nova onto Tag Turkin. Maybe they were considering trying to swap him. A nice Cyclone from Raikou. It's going to keep his health at about 60%. Can they rotate it to Minpoke? They could definitely get the kill here if they can. The bash comes out on the NS. Can they spell steal the NS? It doesn't look like it. Barely able to get that off. A nice play from ABC, but not quite able to put it into its full fruition. We do see Raikou down to about 60% right now. They need to get the CC onto Minpoke though. He's on that triple stun DR, so it's going to be difficult. And now Foxio could go down here. There's no trinket available. Surely he's going to fool the full sheep onto Tag Turkin. Daisy Duke is spamming out the sheeps. He's just trying to peel as much as possible. He gets locked out now. Foxio down to 30%. He gets the evasion out. Is it going to be enough for him to stay alive? Desperately kidneying Raikou. That was Raikou's second offensive block. So if Foxio can survive here, which it looks like he's going to be able to do, they could get the kill onto Raikou here. Minpoke using the trinket on that. Can they get anything after the Cyclone to land this kill? The Iron Bar comes out. The Foxio taking damage. Both teams are just dropping low. I'm not sure who's going to come out on top here.
The Tag Turkin actually caught into that full sheep. Foxio getting kidneyed, immediately trinketing it, but he's still in a lot of trouble. Tag Turkin doesn't have too many hots on him and is caught into that polymorph into a full Cyclone. Foxio gonna have to do everything he can to survive, throwing out that cheap shot on the Waz, trying to turn around the pressure onto Raikou. Excellent job by ABC, Easiest 1-2-3, Daisy Duke and Foxio realizing the situation, knowing they have to turn around the pressure. Raikou in a lot of trouble, no block available, and Poika into the clone. Is ABC, Easiest 1-2-3 going to be able to take out Raikou? And yes, they are. Raikou using a little bit too many defensive cooldowns offensively, and ABC Easiest 1-2-3 able to capitalize on that and actually turn around this series and tie it up 2-2. Pardon me.
Unfreaking believable. ABC Easiest 1-2-3 have fought their way back into it, and now we're going into the last game of this best of 5 series between these two. It's going to be tied up 2-2, and we have an RMD showdown. And Foxio, he looked very good on combat going into this game. I mean, as expected. But do you think that played a big factor in their success in game number 4?
I mean, the start of the game looked so good for Reawakened. They were able to pretty much outplay all the goes from Foxio. They got the pre-iron back on one on the smoke bomb, I believe, and then they got that pre-combat readiness on the next go. It looked so good, but Minpoke was started to trade out his trinket, and ultimately what cost them was Raikou using that offensive block in what looked to be a perfectly clean setup like last time, but I think they didn't quite have the same damage available for Foxio. They didn't also have the sap last time. They got the sap into the kidney, which meant there was no feint, but Foxio was able to get a pre-feint on this setup, which meant he was of course taking 30% less damage for the majority of it, and then that was enough for Daisy Duke to be able to just put out a couple of sheeps, maybe stop a little bit more of the damage from Reawakened. They barely surviving that setup and then ultimately punishing him for that offensive block.
Yeah, I think if Raikou was able, I didn't actually see, but if he had his counterspell up a little bit earlier, I mean, eventually he locked out those polymorphs, but he was able to lock out those polymorphs a little bit earlier. It might have been able to carry them through and actually get the kill, but yeah.
Yep, I agree. And we're not breaking our curse. Every single time RMDs meet each other, we do go to game 5, and that is a trend which does not look like it's going to break soon, with game 5 deciding which one of these teams goes through to the grand final. Of course, these guys are playing for a top 2 finish, and you want to be in that grand final. It's a lot more GCD points, and of course, we do have a €500 first prize for these guys to play for as well, which is a pretty nice amount of money for playing some WoW on your weekend. So both these teams are going to be eyeing that up. Of course, one game away, Ruins of Lordran is going to be the final resting place for one of these teams, with the other one setting their sights on advancing.
Oh my goodness. And here we go. We are going into Ruins of Lordran. Both teams specking exactly the same. This is going to be a pretty hyped mirror matchup here. There's no place to hide on a map like Ruins of Lordran. It's just going to be in your face RMD. And we're going to find out who's going to be securing their spot in the finals after this game.
So Waz actually using dirty tricks as a talent. Foxy using that internal bleeding. So his kidney shots are going to be a little bit more scary. The rogue swaps are going to be a little bit stronger, but Waz going to be able to get a little bit more CC out with that gouge if he can take advantage of that.
Yep.
Some minor spec differences.
I like that from Waz as well, because I think gouging into the setup on Foxio is one of the important things that they're able to do, because it means he's not able to get that feint off, and that was really the only reason they were able to survive last game, was because they just instantly used the stun, and Foxo did have that full feint essentially, which is and since he barely lived, that was the thing that kept him alive. So we do see both these teams. It's interesting to see that the style has changed going into the last game. Maybe there's a few more nerves here. Both teams have been charging out, frostboning each other every other game, and now they're both going for this mass stealth. Tag gets the meld just before the deep freeze, but he's still put into the sheep, and that's going to prompt Foxero's trinket, but he's still taking damage. He has to use the evasion as well. The AR coming out, they're going on to Raikou. Both teams are doing very different strategies. Raikou in a bit of trouble here, down to 30%. The NS comes out, the blind coming out as well. They're going to maybe get the trinket through. It looks like the trinket coming from Minpoike. Minpoike actually used every single core in there, the trinket, the NS, the Iron Bark, and that's going to be enough to keep Raikou alive for now. He's at about 60% HP, but it doesn't mean they could swap it over to Waz. He's already used one of his evasions. He does need to be a bit careful. He's actually using the cloak offensive here as well, and the smoke bomb comes out onto Foxo. They're going to go for the kill here. The Iron Bark coming out from Tag and should be enough to keep him alive, and if Tag can hold his trinket here, that's going to be really good for them.
Yeah, Raikou pushing in, getting the deep sheep, but Foxio looks like he's going to be completely fine. Has full hots, as well as Heart of the Wild up from Tag Turkin. Daisy Duke taking a lot of damage though, down to 20% HP. Needs to be careful. The NS comes out from Tag Turkin, going to save Daisy Duke's block. Raikou also taking a little bit of damage at the moment. And Poike's Heart of the Wild is going to fade, so his healing isn't going to be quite as strong. Daisy Duke still taking a ton of damage though, catching full heals from Tag Turkin. It does have that Heart of the Wild buff still. Some clones coming out from Tag Turkin onto Waz at the moment. Full polymorphs coming out under Raikou from Daisy Duke, just trying to slow down the aggression coming out from Reawakened. Raikou actually deciding to offensively block that once again. The full kidney shot onto Foxio. He did have feint for the beginning of this, but is it going to be enough? Tag Turkin doesn't have a trinket. Foxio into the triple DR cheap shot, spamming out that feint now. Evasion is available to him if he needs it, as well as that close of Foxio able to survive there. Kind of a failed swap, and now Raikou in a situation where he's used another block offensive. Waz in a lot of trouble though, has that combat readiness up, as well as feint, and Poike caught into the full clone. Waz getting that Iron Bark, has a lot of hots. He should be able to survive there, but he's still hovering dangerously low. Daisy Duke, I think, also threw out an offensive ice block there for that situation. And both rogues going to be a lot of trouble in these next setups.
Yeah, but these teams are mirroring each other's strategies so exactly. I mean, we saw ABC having no trinkets, so Raikou offensively block, and then the reverse of that, Daisy Duke doing the exact same thing, and both teams narrowly avoiding killing the other team's rogues. We do see the setup now, perhaps onto Foxo again. He does have his trinket available. We can see him trinket out of that instantly. The Cloak of Shadows as well. He's going to be fine, but that's another cooldown used. The DFA from Waz. Waz needs to be careful though. He doesn't have his trinket available. Minpoike does have it to bail him out. Raikou using his trinket there. There is this the kidney. If they can get the kill here perhaps, but it doesn't look like there's too much damage. They're actually going to sheep him up. That was the adrenaline rush from Foxo, so I'm surprised more damage didn't come out of that, but they didn't even get CC onto Minpoike, and now ABC, they're starting to fall behind again. They don't have any trinkets available. A nice clean setup from Reawakened could see the end of the game for them. The blind onto Minpoike is he's actually going to sit through that into the sheep. They're not really achieving too much with this though, and it looks like Foxo is the one that's dying.
Yeah, he gets up that feint, just a little frost. Actually, Raikou offensively blocking once again, so they might be able to punish him for it. Now he's down to 50% HP. Minpoike doesn't, or he does have his trinket as well as that Iron Bark available, throws out that Iron Bark, but that is something that ABC Easiest 1-2-3 is going to want to capitalize on. Waz still not having his trinket for another 22 seconds, so he also is a target. Tag Turkin does have his trinket available, and Minpoike actually throwing his trinket out there. But Raikou not having that block for quite some time. The blind on a Tag Turkin, the kidney shot on a Foxio. Tag Turkin deciding to trinket that right away. Has full hots on a Foxio. He's going to be completely fine. Daisy Duke using that Icy Veins wants to get some pressure rolling. Raikou also having his Icy Veins out. Both teams smell blood in the water, but Raikou in a lot of trouble. The killing spree comes out from Foxio. Raikou down to 3% HP in those offensive blocks. Going to go ahead and cost them the series, I suppose. Yeah. He gave up both his ice blocks.
I just think it was a little impatient. I mean, you can see why he does it, because there's no trinkets available in ABC, but by your first block is fine. I mean, you're not going to lose the game off that, but the second ice block was, I think it was a little bit risky, and they have to make sure they have the offensive cooldowns to match a play like that. Like if Raikou commits his ice block, then Waz has to have the killing spree up. He needs to have something to secure that he's going to kill Foxo in that stun lock, because both times Foxo is able to get out of it on about 30-40% HP, and then he uses a cooldown, uses his cloak, uses vanish, uses something to make sure that he's barely able to survive. And like ultimately, both the games they lost were because of those offensive blocks, and then Raikou just not having any cooldowns left. So,
wow.
Do you feel like this was an upset?
I absolutely do. I feel like, well, I mean, ABC easy as
I
1,
mean,
2, 3.
especially when they were 2-0 down at the start.
Yeah, they're down 2-0 at the start. They brought it back 3-2 in a crazy series.
This
but
is
at the same time, Reawakened, I mean, they're well known as being one of the best and widely viewed by plenty as the best RMD in the tournament. And the team that qualified for the tournament are actually going to take them down and knock them down to that lower bracket. So this is a big deal, I think. And ABC Easy as 1, 2, 3, the qualifier team, are making it to the finals.
Yeah, one thing to note though, like we were talking about, I mean, the second ABC Easy as 1, 2, 3 swapped over to Combat. I mean, the games started looking better for them,
games
right?
just changed, yeah. Like, they lost both the sub games, and then the 2 combat games at the end, they actually ended up winning. And that was the weird thing as well. Like, we were saying at the start that the advantage of combat was it can burst the rogue so easily, but ultimately they got both their kills onto Raikou, so completely against the momentum of the early half of the series.
Well, I mean, I don't think in any of those games they actually got a legitimate block out of Raikou, except for making him go offensive, right? So they targeted down Waz, or when Raikou thought they could kill Foxio, he would throw out his icebox, and then as soon as he doesn't have those cooldowns available to him, they can just swap onto him, and he ends up being a better target than the Rogue.
Yep.
Yeah, though playing a little bit of devil's advocate, we have seen Raikou in the past utilize those offensive blocks to gain a gigantic amount of momentum for their
of
team.
course. We saw it on Tolveron, he did that.
Yeah,
and
but
like, it
it's
was
so
the cleanest
risky.
thing ever. Yeah.
I mean,
And
especially...
it takes a great amount of confidence to, when you know the series is the series is 2-2. This game decides who progresses. It takes a certain type of player to be able to make those calls. I'm going to offensive block here and go for the CC rather than just kind of passively wait for the game to draw its course more naturally. But